Good morning, fourth graders. Happy Wednesday. I'm just enjoying this glorious sunny morning. Happy to see the sunshine this morning. Having some coffee in my favorite unicorn mug. Cheers. The boys are eating breakfast behind me. Pancakes this morning with blueberries, so they're very happy. And I hope that you are feeling good this morning as we get into another day of distance learning. Yahoo! We are going to be working on a few things today. You are going to be working through some real-world word problems where you are applying what we've been working on this week to some real-world problems. So they typically involve gardening and things like that. I'm going to run you through attributes of the new shapes that we're introducing today, and then you are going to watch a super fun vintage Mrs. Calamar's video from a couple of years ago for our content work in today's lesson. Today we have office hours open from 10 to 11, so pop in there if you have any questions on the work that you're working on today or any work that you've been assigned from earlier this week. Know that I'm here, and I think you're wonderful, and I know that you're doing a great job, and I'm just really happy to be your math teacher. So make it a great day, and let's take a look at these cool shapes. Okay, buddies, so we have been talking about shapes for the last couple of weeks. No, I think actually this week. Did this week just begin our shape talk? I don't know. Anyway, hopefully some of these look familiar to you. And this is a super cool diagram because it shows you how all of these shapes are related. So all of these shapes, the square, the rhombus, the rectangle, the parallelogram, the trapezoid, all live inside of the quadrilateral. And in order for you to make sense of this image, I want you to see how this diagram sort of nestles in itself. So let's take a walk through it. So quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals, as you know, have 4 straight sides, 4 angles, and they're a closed shape. Georgie, can you please stop? Thank you. A trapezoid lives inside of a quadrilateral, meaning a trapezoid has to have all of these attributes of a quadrilateral, but it also has to have at least one pair of parallel sides. Okay, so now a parallelogram lives inside of a trapezoid, lives inside of a quadrilateral, which means a parallelogram has to have all of the attributes of a quadrilateral. It has to have all of the attributes of a trapezoid, and now it has its own attributes as well. A parallelogram must have 2 pairs of parallel sides, which means it's a trapezoid as well because a trapezoid has at least one pair. Parallelogram has to have opposite sides that are the same length. So a parallelogram needs to have these attributes and the attributes of a trapezoid and the attributes of a quadrilateral. Okay, so now we're getting to the rectangle. A rectangle, as you all well know, has 4 right angles, but it also has to have the attributes of all of these other shapes, of the parallelogram, of the trapezoid, and of the quadrilateral. I'm not going to read those all again because we've gone over them a few times. And then we have this rhombus. A rhombus is interesting because sometimes it's a rectangle. Do you see how this rhombus shape is inside of a rectangle, but it's also outside of the rectangle? A rhombus is sometimes a rectangle, but not always. The trick, the attribute that we must have for all rhombuses is that all sides are equal lengths. Sometimes, this is the sometimes area, sometimes rhombuses will have 4 right angles, but sometimes they will just have the attributes of the parallelogram. Do you see how this little chunk is in parallelogram? Sometimes a rhombus will just have the brown attributes of a parallelogram, the pink trapezoid attributes, and the black quadrilateral attributes. So that's how this cool diagram works. Next week we'll talk about, tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow? I don't know. Someday soon we'll talk about squares you all know what squares are. So you can see the square. You can see the square living inside of this rhombus. I'm inserting this image into the purple slides on our slides for today. So know that we have this here for your reference. Okay, cool. So now you're going to take a look at the vintage video from last year so you can see our lesson for today.